Hi, and welcome on to AFTV Transfer Daily, the show that takes a look at players that have been linked with a summer transfer move to the Arsenal. And first of all, I'm going to start off today with saying congratulations going out to Alexis Sanchez and the Chile national football team. Brilliant last night. They won the Copa America, beating Argentina, and what a fantastic result it was. Chile deserved to win it. They won it on penalties in extra time. They deserved to win it. They were the better team throughout the whole of the game. They had the best chances. And Alexis Sanchez, it was so fitting to see him step up and score the winning goal. What a brilliant, brilliant penalty. I don't know if you got to watch the game. I actually watched it on a feed on my computer. And the feed that I watched it on was actually a Chile feed, and it was brilliant. And even though I don't understand, I can't speak Spanish, I can understand some words. It was brilliant watching it on that. The passion of those commentators was absolutely brilliant. And to see Alexis take that final penalty, and if you haven't seen that penalty yet, you've got to see it. The audacious, cheeky penalty he took under immense pressure was absolutely brilliant, and congratulations goes that to Alexis Sanchez. You can see him celebrating there. And you know what, guys? Listen, as I tweeted this out last night, we've got one of the best players in the world. He is truly world class. He was absolutely brilliant last night, and he proved it. He proved it again on the world stage that he is an absolutely brilliant player. He's had an awesome season for Arsenal in his first season. Culminating with him winning the FA Cup. He's now gone and won the Copa America. He was up against players like Messi last night, like Higuain, all these sort of players, and he put in a blinding performance. And listen, we've got a world-class player, and that can only inspire other world-class players to come and play at Arsenal, because we've now got some of the top players in the world. We've got, as I said, Alexis Sanchez has won the Copa America. Of course, Ozil, Mertesacker have won the World Cup. It's really good times at Arsenal at the moment. A player who was playing last night, again, who was excellent last night, was Arturo Vidal. He was the man of the match, in fact, in that game. Brilliant, his game last night. Now, again, you can see him there holding the trophy aloft. Again, straight afterwards, of course, Vidal is now being linked again with a move to Arsenal. It depends where you're reading this. Some outlets linking him with a move to Arsenal. Some outlets linking him with a move to Real Madrid. Some outlets I like this one, saying that if you actually watched him play last night, he had on Juventus shin pads. So some of them suggesting that, listen, that seems to suggest that he's staying put. He's not going anywhere. But he had a great game last night. Again, if you watched him play last night, listen, he's not, well, certainly for Chile, he does not play in a deep role. He is a very attacking midfielder, box to box, very similar to Aaron Ramsey. And he is not, I don't know, I can't see, what a lot of people have suggested, that he come in and play as like a defensive midfielder in the Coquelin mode, where he wouldn't sort of, he'd be very disciplined and wouldn't really move off of that position, because he's a very attacking midfielder. And if we brought him in, he'd have to be as an attacking player. And that's why I still feel that I don't think that deal's going to get done, because I just feel that, he's a great player. He's proved that he's world class. He's been in the final of Champions League, final of now the Copa America. Wonderful year for him. He's won loads of things with Juventus, but I just don't think at this moment in time it's what we need. A player also who was playing last night, who's been linked with us very heavily throughout the summer, was Gonzalo Higuain. Now, poor Gonzalo had a real nightmare last night. His penalty miss, if you get a chance, go and see that. Remember the Adebayor penalty where he skied it about 20 miles over the bar? Higuain's penalty yesterday was very similar. Under pressure, he lost it, blasted it straight over the bar, and that was sort of the leading of the demise of Argentina in that penalty shootout. Plus, as well, right on the 90th minute, he fluffed an easy chance when Messi had played him through a player of his quality should be putting that away. This is like now the second time. He did it last year in the World Cup as well for Argentina. And I'll tell you what, his valuation that we've been hearing about, 60 odd million, 45 million plus players, etc., and stuff like that, that really took a real hit last night, because on the biggest stage he had a nightmare, to be honest. He had a nightmare. Wasn't a good performance. You know what made me laugh, right? As I tweeted out and I said, if, say, Giroud had missed that chance that he missed, or skied that penalty, we'd all be on his case and Giroud, But Higuain, it was an awful miss, and a lot of people tweeting out after the game last night, pretty unfairly actually, saying, listen, there's no way we should buy Higuain, he's not good enough, blah blah. But you can't judge him for one performance, but certainly that's a couple of bad ones he's had at international level. You could see Tevez there, who didn't even get a chance to get on at all. His face was like thunder. Now listen, one player that we're told that this is Arsenal's #1 target, if they can get this guy, this is the guy more than any other that they will move mountains to try and get, and that is Karim Benzema. And according to reports coming out of Spain, Real Madrid are going to be willing to sell him. They're willing to sell him. They want about £17.8 million for him, which, wow, I mean, when I saw that figure, I was like, that's very low. I thought they'd be demanding a lot more money for a guy. He's only 27 years of age, scored 22 goals last year. He's a world-class striker, has done it on the, on the highest level. We know that Arsene Wenger loves Benzema. We know that putting him into Arsenal's team would make it a formidable force. For £17.8 million, we're being told that Arsenal are on high alert, as we always hear, and that they've made this like a priority for the summer to try and bring Benzema in. Of course, getting him at that low fee does mean that Arsenal would have to pay very, very high wages. We don't really pay nobody yet in sort of the £200,000 a week bracket, but we could be talking about something like that to try and secure a player like Karim Benzema to the club. But, the sounds coming out of the Emirates and the talk coming out of Spain is that Arsenal, that's their priority. That is the guy they really, really want to get. Listen, if that deal happened, and again, all Arsenal fans would be happy. That would be a major marquee signing. But I feel that would be a deal that will drag on all summer if that is going to happen. But Arsenal targeting Karim Benzema and have been given hope, we're being told, by Real Madrid, who will be willing to sell him for around about the 17 to 20 million pounds mark. A player that's definitely gone. Sad to see him go. We spoke about this yesterday. Lucas Podolski, there it is, official, a sign for Galatasaray on a 3-year deal. £1.8 million they paid for him, which is an absolute steal for them. They're paying him very high wages, by the way, but it's an absolute steal for them. Future instalments if they get into the Champions League and stages up on how they progress. But Lucas Podolski has officially left Arsenal, and we wish him all the best in his new venture over there in Turkey, playing for Galatasaray. I'm sure he'll do very well for them. And another guy that's been linked with Arsenal, but the rumours have all been that he's going to be on his way to Manchester United, have been Morgan Schneiderlin. Now, again today, reading in quite a few outlets that Schneiderlin, the deal to, which everybody thought was signed and sealed, and that was going to happen a couple of weeks ago, taking him to Manchester United, that's hit snags. United are unwilling to pay the £25 million that Southampton are holding out for. And we're hearing rumours that Schneiderlin would prefer to move to Arsenal. I suppose his agent is going to say stuff like that to try and prompt Manchester United into moving quickly to buy him if they do want him. But we're hearing that, he actually would favour a move to Arsenal because he thinks that Arsenal suits his style better. Also, wouldn't mean that he'd have to move all the way up to Manchester to be able to. He's based already, obviously, down in the south in Southampton. Be easier to move to London. And of course, I'm sure with Arsene Wenger, the French connection, etc., yeah, it might be more suitable to him. But, you know, let's wait and see what happens with that. Still think that he will end up at Manchester United. There's been no bids from Arsenal yet for Morgan Schneiderlin, so it still looks like he's set for a move to Manchester United. Another player that we've been told is set for a move to Crystal Palace, and that is Yohan Cabaye. Even the officials at Palace have come out and said that, you know, they're you know, trying to negotiate getting him back to Palace where he can play under Alan Pardew. Of course, he used to manage him. We're being told today that Arsenal are interested in him. 29 years of age. Of course, PSG. I really, really rated this guy when he played for Newcastle. And when he left Newcastle, Newcastle actually went plummeting down. That's how valuable he was as a player. But it just hasn't happened for him at PSG. He's, you know, gone from being the main man to just a bit part player. Hasn't happened for him. Wants to play regular football. World Cup next year. He was in the French squad. He's suffering because of what's happening to him at PSG. A move to Arsenal? I don't know. Back up maybe to Coquelin, because he could play that role. He could, you know, he's a bit more attacking than Coquelin, but he could definitely play that role. And he's got all the experience. He's 29. I still think that this guy's going to want to play week in, week out. He's not going to want to come again and be playing more bit part roles, even though he'd be in the Champions League, he'd be on the bigger stage. But still likely that he will end up at Crystal Palace. And finally, this one's quite interesting. Player goes by the name of Munir El Haddadi. He plays for Barcelona's B team, although he did play quite a few first-team games, about 10 first-team games for them last year, and really, really highly rated over there in Spain. Barcelona see him as a guy that in the future is going to be a regular in their team. Now, Marca, the paper over there in Spain, the big paper that, you know, reports, that's their #1 sports paper, is reporting that Arsenal have made an approach for El Haddadi. They would like to bring him to the Emirates. Would love to. He's a forward player, can play, plays out on the wing primarily. Arsenal really, really interested in this guy. Would love to bring him over to the Emirates. Barcelona not too pleased about it. They've lost enough players to us over the years. Of course, Bellerin's with us now. We all know Fabregas, and they're trying as hard as they can to try and hold on to the player. They've already rejected a bid that was made by Ajax for El Haddadi, but we're being told that, you know, the Arsenal approach, they're a bit worried about that because they know that Arsenal, you know, have got a good track record in taking players from Barcelona and turning them into regulars and turning them into players that are, you know, end up, you know, getting into first teams well ahead of what would have happened if they stayed at Barcelona. I mean, if he's playing in that front three at Barcelona, you've got to get past Neymar, Suarez and Messi. Now, you're going to have a very long wait to get into that team. You've still got players like Pedro as well ahead of you. So, listen, it could be possible that Arsenal would be able to tempt a player like him away to the Emirates. And as I said, he is a really, really top prospect. But Barcelona trying their hardest to try and keep hold of Munir. We'll have to wait and see what happens with that one. But that's very, very interesting, that link. Let's get into what you guys have had to be saying about all the transfer links. I was asking yesterday about who would you go for, Lacazette or Higuain? After last night, I mean, the Higuain stock has dropped like a stone, I'll tell you. It's, wow, he really did put in a poor performance. KIAK while 97 says Lacazette over Higuain, and we should get Rajdar Nagolan, forget that pronunciation, for CDM. Humzadin says Pedro or Turan would be good. Now, I don't know. I keep saying we've got enough players who can play in those positions. You know, he also goes on Humza to say that he thinks that Arsene Wenger is going to be looking to play Walcott as a striker. So both of those could play out on the right. But I don't think we need Arda Turan. Definitely wouldn't want to see Arsenal going anywhere near a swap deal to swap Santi Cazorla, and I don't think that will happen for Arda Turan. I think that's an absolute non-starter. And Pedro, I just don't think we need at the moment. Higuain, Benzema, and Cavani are all overrated, says Arnas. And you know what? He's got a little point there. Higuain, the fees that we've been told for Higuain, I think he's a top striker, but that's them sort of fees. No way is he worth near that. Benzema, I'm not sure. I don't think he's overrated. I think Benzema, there's a lot more to come from him. I think he's a bit overshadowed by playing under Ronaldo at Real Madrid. Cavani, I definitely think is overrated. I think we've seen the best of Cavani, a bit like a sort of Falcao, where we've seen the best of him. And I don't think we're going to see those golden times where he was all conquering again. I think he's just past that stage now. Youssef says, hi, Robbie. I think if we want to challenge for the title next season, we should get Lacazette and also Arda Turan in the swap deal. I'm surprised some people are going for this, you know, getting him in the swap deal, Arda Turan. Listen, he's a good player, but I would not want to see Santi Cazorla, who's consistently one of our best players week in, week out, being swapped for Arda Turan. No way. Absolutely no way. I'm so happy to have a player like Santi at the club. He's a cult hero. Not just cult hero. Like say you would have seen Podolski was a bit of a cult hero, but he delivers on the pitch week in, week out. He's a big time player. There is no way we should be even thinking and contemplating about swapping a player, although it's not going to happen, but about swapping a player of his quality. No way on this earth. Josh Park says, we already have great players. All we need is a defensive midfielder. And he said, congratulations to Sanchez for scoring the winning penalty in the Copa final. It was absolutely brilliant, as I said. Riku, should I say, he says, Lacazette for sure. Stud Malexi says, Santi has found his best position in an Arsenal shirt as a deep-lying playmaker in the Xavi-type role. So, no, we shouldn't be getting rid of him. And last one here, Youssef says, Arda Turan would be a world-class signing, and so would Higuain or Lacazette. As I said, Higuain, I really felt sorry for him last night. He had the absolute nightmares of all nightmares, but I'm sure a player of his quality can come back. I just think that price has dropped like a stone after last night. Thanks for watching AFTV Transfer Daily. Don't forget, we'll be back tomorrow. Probably be coming to you slightly earlier, be earlier than today, tomorrow, as it's a weekday. But make sure you look out for the show. Probably be coming to you right about 7-ish UK time. So look out for the show a little bit earlier tomorrow. Thanks for watching, and we will see you tomorrow.